for youth?
Summer youth is still available, but summer youth is constantly being cut by the mayor of this city. And that's something that, to me, it troubles me because I don't see how we expect our children to be able to be productive if they don't have nothing to do in the summertime. There's also an attack on youth. It's also an attack on youth because at the end of the day, what ends up happening when children have nothing to do is they have idle hands. And the only other thing they end up getting involved in is the law. And we're seeing a lot of our young kids being imprisoned. And it stems from no activity. And some youth jobs, to me, serves an important role in keeping children busy and active. I remember not too long ago, I'm only 28, but growing up in the 90s, when I used to get do summer youth, and in the early 2000s, I did summer youth. And I was a summer youth worker. I worked at the Weeksville Community Center. I worked at the Italian American League. Worked at a host of. I worked in the Parks Department. And then we cleaned the fields or whatever. But I had something to do. And what you're seeing is constantly cut after cut after cut after cut when it comes to some youth employment programs. And what I think is that at the end of the day, what we have to do is stop attacking our youth. We need to focus on building them up. The best way to build them up is to put resources and monies back in the summer youth, and we should never ever cut the summer youth program. We should always increase it. Because, as I said, when I was growing up, you at least had about 40,000 kids who got jobs citywide. Now we're talking about 15,000 kids that are getting jobs citywide.
Throughout New York City.
Throughout New York City. So there's definitely an imbalance there. And there's definitely a lack of prioritizing or having the correct priorities to help to keep our youth off the streets and have them engaged in doing something positive.
New York.
Well, first of all, we need leadership in the community that can build relationships. East New York, we are in need of help. And I believe that the only way we can do it is to work with business groups, local, other community businesses, and attract businesses to the community that can help, that we can actually demand that they give us jobs. That one of the commitments for them coming into our community and getting passage into our community would be to give 50 or 40% or 60% of the jobs that they're bringing to the community. One of the things that I've always been in support of is development. And we're looking at, like, say for instance, Walmart, JCPenney, ShopRite. These were two developments that were scheduled to come into the East New York community, or one up. They were competing tenants that were supposed to come into the community, and our leadership failed us. They failed us, outright failed us on these issues, and dealing with them and trying to attract them to the community. Because one of the things that we came to realize is that instead of sitting down to the table with these folks and putting together a plan to get these folks to, since they wanted to come to our community, and get them to buy into the idea that if they do come into our community or want to come to the community, that they have to provide jobs, that they have to provide a job that paid a living wage, that they have to provide a job that the part-time folks are able to get benefits, where they had to provide folks who were or full-time folks who they were paying to some type of pension or retirement plan, and pay them a living wage, not just $7 and change an hour, but we're talking about $10, $12 an hour, to really give folks a ways to be part of this community, to be productive, and give them some type of social mobility. These are the things that I felt that the leadership that exists did not do. They decided to just say no, and with saying no and without having an alternative plan, it's a failure. And we need leadership that will provide an alternative and not just say no to everything for the sake of saying no.